Okay, so are you ready to take a deep dive? Today is going to be a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be looking ahead to February 26, 2025.
Okay.
But we're not going to be doing it in the usual way.
Right.
We're going to use astrology and ancient Chinese wisdom to kind of get a picture of what that day might look like.
So we're talking I Ching and
Yeah,
horoscope.
exactly. We're going to blend those two
Yeah.
together.
Wow.
And even if you're not into horoscopes or the I Ching sounds like something completely foreign to you, I think this is going to be a really interesting way to look at the day from just a completely different perspective.
I'm intrigued.
So we're using two main sources here.
Okay.
A daily astrological and tarot reading by High C,
Right.
and then the associated I Ching interpretations for that.
Got it.
So are you ready to see what the universe may have in store for us?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first let's jump into High C's forecast for February 26th.
Okay.
He's using some pretty powerful words. Rebellious, disruptive, unconventional, and even unexpected surprises.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like it might be a good day to wear our seatbelts.
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like a day that's anything but ordinary, right? It's going to push us out of our comfort zones a little bit, challenge the way we normally do things, maybe even throw some curveballs our way.
Yeah, so how do we prepare for that? We can't call our bosses and be like, hey, just so you know, the universe says
Right.
it's going to be crazy.
You can't exactly plan for the unexpected, right?
Right.
But I think it is more about having the right mindset.
Okay.
Like, imagine you're about to give a presentation, and all of a sudden your technology completely fails.
Oh, no.
Right. Instead of like totally panicking and getting stressed, you just take a breath, you embrace that disruption, and find a creative way to like engage with your audience without the slides you were planning on using.
I like that.
Yeah.
Turning those oh moments into like bring it on moments.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, High C also talks about, you know, maintaining a distance from our subjective feelings that day. And I think that's really important to keep in mind as we're, you know, going through all these twists and turns.
So that's kind of like, don't get caught up in the emotional roller coaster.
Right.
Take a step back and observe
Exactly.
what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's about staying grounded and objective even when, you know, things feel chaotic around us.
Okay.
It's so easy to react emotionally
Oh, yeah.
when we're faced with these unexpected situations. But if we can just take a pause for a moment, observe what's happening, and analyze it from a more detached perspective,
Right.
we can probably make clearer and more rational decisions.
So maybe ask ourselves, like, okay, what's really going on here?
Right.
What's the bigger picture? Instead of like immediately getting angry or frustrated.
Exactly. And I think it can also be really helpful to, you know, set aside some time in the evening, maybe just to reflect on the day and think, were there any moments today where my initial reaction maybe clouded my judgment? What could I have done differently? That self-awareness, I think, is so valuable.
I love that. Okay, so now let's move on to High C's TarotScope for the day, which brings us to the I Ching.
Hi.
He mentions two hexagrams.
Okay.
Tai Yu transitioning into Gui Mei.
Interesting.
I have to admit, I'm not super familiar with the I Ching. Can you give me a quick rundown?
Yeah, so the I Ching, it's often called the Book of Changes,
Okay.
is this ancient Chinese text that uses a system of 64 hexagrams.
Okay.
So these are like symbols that are made up of 6 lines.
Gotcha.
And each of them represents a different life situation or energy pattern.
Okay.
And for centuries, people have consulted the I Ching to gain insight into challenges and make decisions.
So kind of like using these ancient symbols as a roadmap to navigate change.
Exactly. And the specific hexagrams High C mentions, Ta Yu and Gui Mei,
Right.
are super relevant
Okay.
to this kind of day he's describing.
Oh, yeah.
Ta Yu symbolizes possessing great strength, but it reminds us that even when we feel, you know, powerful and in control, change is going to happen.
Okay, so it's not about resisting change.
Right.
It's about accepting that it's part of the journey.
Exactly.
So kind of like how the astrology reading talked about disruption.
Yes. And then we have Gui Mei, which is what Ta Yu transitions into.
Okay.
And Gui Mei is all about navigating those shifts in power dynamics
Okay.
and adapting to circumstances that might not be ideal. It encourages patience and humility.
So if Tai Yu is about acknowledging that change is coming,
Yes.
Gui Mei is about rolling with the punches and making the best of it,
Exactly.
even if it's not what we had in mind.
Right. Imagine you've been working on this project for weeks, and right before the deadline, your client is like, you know what, we're completely changing direction.
Oh, no.
A Gui Mei approach would be to take a deep breath, acknowledge that frustration, and then focus on how to best meet this new challenge.
I like it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like both the astrology and the I Ching readings are really pointing us towards flexibility and adaptability,
Definitely.
being the keys to navigating February 26th successfully.
I think so. They both highlight, embracing change, thinking outside the box, and not being too attached to our plans.
So thinking about your day ahead,
Yeah.
what tasks or interactions might call for this kind of awareness and flexibility?
That's a great question for everyone to consider.
Yeah, and even if February 26th turns out to be like a totally normal day,
Right.
I think these ancient systems offer really valuable wisdom for navigating any kind of change or disruption that life throws our way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are always opportunities to learn and grow, even when things feel chaotic.
Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive into what the universe might have in store for us on February 26th, 2025.
Right.
At the end of that day, take a moment to reflect.
Yeah.
Did any of these predictions resonate with you? Did you have any moments where you're like, oh, the stars were right, or the I Ching was spot on?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about it.
Definitely.
And if this sparked your interest, keep exploring these worlds of astrology and the I Ching. They offer such fascinating perspectives on life change and everything in between.
They really do.
Awesome. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.